Hi, I'm Monique.
And I'm Danielle, and we're here to present our topic, which is how does technology and apps affect our social interactions as millennials, and what are their mental health effects?
So, in a day and age where technology has pretty much taken over our society, it only seems natural that we expose as much information as we can about what it is and what it's doing to us. So, what is it doing to us?
Well, in a new research done by British psychologists, young adults, such as ourselves, are on just their smartphone roughly 1/3 of the day, or 5 times every hour. It seems to have become unnecessary but habitual, like some sort of an automatic behavior that we have no awareness of.
Now, I live 7 hours away from my immediate family by car, and I live 7 hours away from my distant family by plane. And without the creation of things like WhatsApp and Skype, I wouldn't be able to speak to them as regularly as I do. So that has been exceptionally revolutionary compared to previous years where you would have to buy a $5 phone card and speak as quickly as you could just to avoid international fees.
True, good point. Apps that are used for health and relaxation and education are used about 9 minutes per day, according to psychologist Adam Alter. And after they use these apps, they're reporting that they feel pretty good about it. Maybe they just meditated for a couple minutes, or met their step goal for the week, or maybe just read another chapter in 50 Shades of Grey. However, the people in the study who were using Instagram, Facebook, and Tinder, or other entertainment apps, are reporting that they don't feel very good, and yet those people are spending about 3 times more than the average on these apps. With all of this mindless time being spent on our devices, it leads us to another question. Is this technology putting an end to our interpersonal social skills?
So what studies have found is that it kind of is. Our communication is constantly evolving, and right now what we're seeing is that there's more and more people that prefer quick and frequent interactions, but social media platforms such as Instagram, Twitter, Facebook have produced this feeling that people need to broadcast their lives on the internet. And if you think about it, really think about it, it's completely unnecessary. And why do we do this? We used to live in a reality where people would just live their lives not for the sake of reporting, and now it seems like people are living their lives so they can post about it.
True. We have entered into this technosexual era. We have entered into this technosexual era of dating. The common belief is that if you're romantic, then you're probably not on Tinder. This perception comes from the fact that the users of these apps have a modern way of dating that does not include the awkward first moments. Your average Tinder user spends an average of 11 minutes per day scrolling through what has been referred to as a hot or not list. This feeds into our personal connections and how we are interacting in our daily lives.
So in a study done by Forbes, it says that 7% of our communication is on verbal words, and the other 90% it consists of nonverbal cues, body language, eye contact, and tone of voice, all of which we are losing when we communicate through phones. It might even be said that some people are struggling with holding conversations in public because of their dependency for social media. Yeah. They're just so used to that form of communication that they're now a little awkward because they aren't getting the practice that their brain needs.
The brain needs what we call emotional cues. We need these in order to know how to behave or respond in certain situations. Remember those awkward moments when you and a friend would be deciding where to go to eat and your friend replies with just K instead of okay with a smiley face? Well, the problem there is we don't see the body language or hear the tone of voice, so it can be interpreted in so many different ways. This causing miscommunication or even arguments that might not have even happened in different circumstances. Now that brings us to our last point. What health issues are coming out of this expansion of technology use?
So the screens that these social media platforms provide are hindering some of our abilities to socialize with the same ease as we once might have. It's so much easier to communicate when you have a moment to read and think, which social media gives you. But there's no saying what other harms can come from this screen advantage that we have.
Right.
The screen is so personal to us that now it's becoming like a shield or a mask to others. So we need to create a social media literacy. And what does that mean? Social media literacy is having the proficiency to communicate appropriately and responsibly. Bullying isn't something new, but it has undoubtedly changed over the years. It wasn't all that long ago that the majority of people didn't have their own computers, and maybe one family shared one desktop computer. Now almost every person has a computer as well as at home, at work, and at school, which makes it so much more accessible than it was before.
Social media is one of the most used forms of websites by teenagers, where they can post photos or view uncensored sentences for everyone to see. In a study done by Huffington Post, 52% of teens reported being cyberbullied before, and 70% of teens reported seeing cyberbullying happen on someone else's post. All of this can be quite overwhelming, and since social media and technology isn't going anywhere, we have to figure out how to deal with all of this. What do we do now? Number one, educate like we said earlier. The way we communicate is always developing and changing, and it's our job to be responsible and understand the amount of attention given away to our social media apps and taken away from our loved ones.
And also, we need to start making rules for ourselves. So when we're at dinner or meeting or we're just walking in a public space, it's important to make sure your phone is away and out of sight, so therefore you're able to take in and truly listen and communicate with those who are around you.
Well, thank you guys for listening. I hope you liked it. And yeah, have a good night.